Good morning, everyone. This is Luda Kopikina with GAI Insights. Welcome to AI Daily News Review, where we mark articles as essential, important, and optional. Today, we have a full house and a special guest. We have Paul, John, Adam, myself, and Ankaj, and we have Ram joining us, and he Katamaraja, correct, Ram?
Yes, that's correct. Good morning, everyone.
So, welcome, Ram. He is a passionate Gen AI follower. He's participant in our reviews, has been with us several times. He's the CEO of Collaborate that he founded for U.S. veterans to transition from military service to regular life. And he has been on TED and MIT, was nominated as MIT Solver. So a very great career and great insights. So welcome, Ram. So let's start with the first article today. Ankaj.
Thanks, Luda. So the first one that we have for today is about Moondream 0.5b, the world's smallest vision language model.
Yes. And we want, Adam, what do you think about it?
So I gave this an optional rating. I'll summarize what's happened here. Moondream has released a 2 billion parameter model previously. And so this one is a quarter the size. I mean, you think people are running this on Raspberry Pis and like super, super small, light, compact computers. So there's a lot of potential for this. It's a tinkerer's dream, but it's still in the realm of tinkerers, I would say, at this point, which is probably why it's optional. But they have an incredibly small, like the smallest vision language model at 500 million parameters. There's Lava is the most popular one out there. And this is, Lava is 25 times the size of this. And on a lot of the benchmarks, this is just as performant. So it's extraordinary how small they've gotten this, how powerful it continues to be. And as you extrapolate this out even a year or 2 years, and you start thinking about IoT and sensors and what we're going to be able to have running at the edge in computing, it's really exciting to see these sorts of developments. But this news itself is, in a way, incremental, although astounding and optional.
Okay, optional. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I was going to give it optional as well. I can't wait to see what people do with these, though. I mean, 500 million parameter model, it's, really good at interpreting images. I'm thinking back to a client conversation, Paul, you and I are having with our friend Nina, talking about a model that could enable the kind of application we're thinking about, at the edge devices. I mean, here's a model that will be incredibly performant and super easy to run, but optional.
Okay. Ram and Paul, okay with optional?
So I am a little biased. I think it's at least we need to rate it important, especially because the edge AI is nascent. It's not, we cannot compare it as mature as the regular Gen AI, right? So any incremental improvements should be highlighted so that whoever is experimenting leaders like looking at it should pay attention to it. Especially here they highlight industries such as retail, manufacturing, transportation, security, and we work a lot in agriculture and utility industries where there is a lot of image processing, and there is like an ambition to do edge AI. So I think it's at least important to bring it to the attention of these leaders that this is becoming more and more accessible. Of course, if we compare with regular Gen AI, it kind of becomes an optional use. But if you just look at AI as a separate niche, it's a very important milestone from my perspective.
Paul, would you back the important? Paul, you're on mute. I certainly would. I was actually thinking potentially important as I was reading it for the same reasons that Ram listed.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think it's important. I think one of the things that's important for the AI leaders understand the possibility frontier and how much it's moving for the next 2 years as they think about their products and putting vision into products in the next 2 years. I mean, what does that mean for a dishwasher? Or here's the soil on my shirt. What should I run it? So I think there's lots of different options. So I can certainly support important.
Okay, guys, going important. Let's go next.
Luda, just so you know, you've got the power of the chalk. I ran it yesterday. I haven't run it for a long time, and it really is intoxicating, the chalk power.
No.
I'm trying not to be intoxicated, Paul. Okay, we're going.
Rem, you make a good case. I will say, though, I just checked our ratings page, and even just this month alone, we've already had 2 pieces of news about small language vision models. So this is a trend, and this, I think, is a significant piece of news within that space. So I think you've talked me into it.
Yeah.
Great. Okay,
Great.
important it is. Let's go next one, please, Ankash.
Okay, the next one comes from Google, and they have launched Willow, their state-of-the-art quantum chip.
Okay. That's a fascinating advancement. Ram, what did you think about this?
Yeah, like you said, it's a fascinating advancement, and the data that they are able to do the SRCs in under 5 minutes that would take today's fast supercomputers 10 septillion years. It's just like not even comprehensible. However, from a practical standpoint, it's still in the research labs. It's not enterprise ready or anything. It's not even application ready. But I would like to highlight at least one thing, which is they have an open source project. If people are looking to play around with it, they have an open source project. Especially developers can play around with it and try to experiment with it. However, it's an optional news item.
Oh, okay. I would like to make a case of essential. This is a breakthrough. This is a breakthrough for science.
Maybe
a breakthrough for technology. So I actually, for the application space, it's yet optional, but it's a breakthrough. Leaders need to know about it. That's what I would think. What do you think, Paul, Adam, John?
I actually was leaning towards essential as well, and then just on X tonight before the call, I saw someone's analysis that went a little deeper for me, and I'm leaning towards optional now. Frankly, there's a lot of hype and hyperbole here, and yes, it is 10 septillion years or whatever that is, but this is by design a benchmark test that's like a baseline for quantum computing. In the very sense this is, and it's a benchmark that Google created. So it's no surprise that this is a massive number, and I think that's by design to highlight that it can solve very different types of problems. But to say that we would take all of this time, and the other thing that's in it that isn't really fully played out is this important point that as you scale it up, it actually got better answers rather than worse. Which is this classical problem we've had for 30 years of, as we scale these quantum devices in terms of the complexity of them, they lose precision to a point where we can't have confidence in them, right? So that's a huge piece of news. But in this case, they've only done it with a 3x3, a 5x5, and now a 7x7 matrix. So they've gotten up to 49 qubits. Right. But we need these to make the leap from there, that this is going to continue to play out at hundreds and thousands of qubits is speculation at this point. So I shifted very much to we really need to wait and see what comes of this. I could support important, but there's I think a little too much hype and marketing than actual science going on under the hood here.
Yeah, if I may add, if you go down the page, there is our quantum computing roadmap. There are 6 milestones. This is just second milestone announcement, so it's just getting started.
The beginning.
Yes, just the beginning, but amazing breakthrough. Probably, I don't know, I was thinking about it, and is it like years or decades away? But for sure like years away, if not decades.
But it is progressing. So John,
Yeah.
Paul, optional or important or essential?
Yeah, I was important to essential. The thing that really got me is the error correction. The fact that error correction is getting better with size, which to me is completely counterintuitive. And just for the record, I have no idea how these frame things work. I mean, it doesn't. I don't know. I don't understand how you query a qubit, and not have it collapse in the query. But whatever. So from the church of ignorance and from the pulpit of confidence, I would say important to perhaps essential.
Okay, Paul.
I'll support the chalk.
The chalk. So guys, the reason I want essential, I get your reasoning, and it's just starting. It hasn't gotten to be a real platform, but for the leader, they will be asked about it.
Yeah, I
and
agree.
it's a critical. It's not gotten us to the place where we can use it for sure, and it probably will take years to get there. However, thinking about combining this power with the Gen AI and AI power gives me shivers.
Yeah.
So I just think that we should tell them that this is happening.
It's
and they
big enough news. They need to know about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
essentially it is. Let's go next.
Yeah, and the thing too that if they continue on the progress, this redoes the entire security architecture of everything. So I mean, this is a complete rewrite from the screws up. If we get quantum.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Luda, one of the just think on quantum, it's really becoming. I mean, I think there was, $30 or $40 million in this recent AI bill in Massachusetts that's going to the quantum computing sector in Worcester. We've got a quantum computing panel on the Davos thing. We're working with John Warner on January 22nd, and there's a tremendous amount of interest in that. So it's moving off the R&D chart to, real dollars being invested around this.
Yeah.
Ready?
Okay. Let's go next, Ankash, please.
Okay, the next one that we have is a use case. So it talks about how Hamburg's largest gaming company is using Gen AI on a daily basis.
Yes, a very interesting use case. Paul, what's
I was a border of optional and important here. I mean, one thing so a lot of the use cases are what we're seeing, brainstorming, generate dialogues. I think what's very notable about this is that this is a company like we're seeing all over that wants to have multiple LLMs available for their employees, not just one. And to do that, you either have to build your own AI middleware, or here they're using a company called, I think it's called Typing. Yeah, right there, Typing Mind. Which is not actually on my radar screen. And I just spent some time last night looking at it. So it's an open source tool where you can start building a chatbot to go in front of the APIs from like Cohere and Llama. So in that sense, I had it as important as just as an optional, as an option as companies think through what does my chatbot AI middleware look like in a multiple robot scenario for my employees.
Yeah.
I was in between optional and important. The Hamburg's largest gaming company, is that like Ireland's greatest chef? I mean, it's like
Europeans have done some stuff, John.
Hey, I'm a quarter Irish myself, so but yeah, so I think that the reason I really liked it is this. What Paul said about this, we're seeing the leading companies, whether it be Goldman Sachs or, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan or whatever, or our friends over at CustomGPT.ai. I think the leading companies are creating this middleware to do best of breed capability, both a better UI, have a better user interface and integration, and then the creation of different utilities that then take advantage of these models, which are very powerful when you bring them together in concert. So anyway, I thought, and it's a well documented article, very very Teutonic here, in terms of really explaining what they're up to. So I'd land on important.
Okay, Adam, Ram.
Yeah. So I felt that it is at least important, primarily because one, it's a very well documented use case around how to adapt Gen AI as part of your culture, right? It's more of a uh, how do you embed it into your culture, how you could use it, sort of thing. And also, I felt that it's an important topic for, if not large enterprises who are able to invest a lot of money into their own systems and building these systems, because these guys are using a third party system, typing mind, to which basically lowers the barrier to entry for, I don't know, medium businesses, even small businesses who want to experiment with Gen AI and make it part of their culture. So from that standpoint, I felt it at least important, if not essential.
Okay. Yeah, important. I was actually fascinated by their research into tools and selecting the
Yes.
tools just for their application. And as Paul mentioned, it's not a trivial task, and they did it well. And that might help, as Ram is saying, to mid-sized companies to implement their applications. Okay, Adam, okay with important?
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
that's good.
Great. Important it is. Let's go next.
Okay, the next one is another use case where Green Tomato is using Gen AI for data and machine learning strategy.
Yeah, this is a AWS well well documented case. What do you think about this, Ram?
It's a decently documented case, but this looks more of a partner promotion blog rather than something like more detailed than that. So when I looked at it, I felt that it's giving like a architecture and some details about it, how you should go about implementing it. But compared to the previous article that we had, which was like an amazing, very well documented piece of item for everyone to kind of look at it, when I saw this, I felt, yeah, we have other use cases and this is probably optional.
Okay, yeah, I should have said supposedly well-documented case. The AWS actually strives to do it well, and this one, I agree. And there's no impact numbers that they usually include. Okay, optional, guys, everybody?
Yeah, I was underwhelmed. We've seen a lot of really good use case articles out of AWS over the last few weeks, and this one didn't hit like those did.
Okay, thanks, Ram. Optional it is. Let's proceed.
Okay, the next one is about AI-powered call centers. So this is from MongoDB.
Yes, this is an interesting application. Adam, what did you think?
I would rate this as optional. I wouldn't really want to put this necessarily in front of our leaders. It's mostly commercial from MongoDB for DataWorks, who uses MongoDB. And it's one basic use case where basically what they're saying is, we can do RAG for you. We have RAG as a service. Here's what we can do. And they don't really give any use cases or really add anything other than saying, look, there's this thing out there, we can do it. There's this thing out there in this company that uses our database, and they can do it for you. So it's a pretty straightforward account, but yeah, I thought it was optional.
John, what's your thought?
Yeah, I thought optional as well for all the things that that Adam just said. Commercial, not that interesting.
Yeah, not much. And impact was missing completely.
And it's like record a transcript and then let people chat with it. That's we've heard that one before.
Yeah. Okay. Going optional. Paul, Ram, okay?
Yeah, I'm good with that. It's for leaders, definitely optional. Maybe a reference for solution architects or solution developers, but as a news item, it's optional.
All right. Let's go next one, Ankash, please. Optional is this one.
Yes, Luda. So the last one that we have is a research paper which talks about training large language models to reason in a continuous latent space.
Yeah, it comes from Meta, and the full article is pretty technical, but a fascinating development. What did you think about this, John?
Yeah, I thought it was a fascinating development, as you say. The notion of using interim product as input to the learning algorithm. I thought it was a really interesting area. Again, Meta, I think, making great investments, but I had it as optional for our AI leader. I think it's very early days. I do think for the curious leader, diving into the whole notion of algorithmic innovation, I think is a very worthwhile area because, if someone like the folks at Liquid AI, for example, who we've talked about before, out of MIT, if they get their algorithms to work, those algorithms scale linearly, not quadratically. And if you run that through your cost base, the demand for power, all the things, including, turning on 3 Mile Island for Microsoft, all that gets brought into question if we could have a massive algorithm innovation. And when I say call into question, the assumptions about consumption. So I would put this particular article as optional, but this thread for AI leaders, if they're thinking out 3 to 5 years, to think about is really, really important because this domain of algorithmic innovation, I think, is under considered.
Yeah, I agree with you that we shouldn't ask the leaders to read this, but it is fascinating. So what they are proposing or have done is they replace the chain of thought, that's the standard algorithm, with what they call coconut, chain of continuous thought. And technically, what it allows the model to do, it's a very simple change, but what it allows the model to do to go breadth first and find the various solutions before they commit, that like the chain of thought does, to go to deterministic one solution. So as a result, it improves the reasoning dramatically, and it certainly outperforms the chain of thought. So it's a very promising direction, and that's an innovation on this team's side. So it's pushing the whole, as John, you were saying, it's pushing the whole field forward very, very very much, right? So it's important, but for the AI leader, I don't think we should get them to read that.
It's interesting from an organizational standpoint. I think, if you're an ad scale player like an eBay or a Goldman or so forth, I would hope, and maybe they do, you've got some mathematicians on staff who are really considering, how these algorithms might evolve, because, when you look at these models, they're very engineering driven, a lot of brute force, activity and so forth. And I would just want to make sure, Alan Kay, the inventor of object-oriented programming, used to really complain that too much of computer science is dominated by engineers and not mathematicians. And so I think that this is an area where Alan's advice is really, really important. So if you're running an at-scale group and you're training models and building models and so forth, you really ought to have some decent mathematicians on there.
Yeah. So Ashish is noting, to your point, John, that algorithmic innovation is always a step change. I think this is a step change. So Ram, Adam, Paul, what do you guys think?
I'd like to just highlight what John was saying as well. I think the other really thing that John's highlighting as well is this is a fundamentally different way of thinking about apps. The last 30 years, we didn't have apps at Goldman and eBay that had an explosion in capability at the chip level or at the underlying kind of software thing over 12 to 18 months. And here we are seeing this. So it really is something you build now may have radically improved capabilities just 3 quarters from now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, at Goldman.
Well, what's fascinating is I think that the Wall Street firms may actually have a big leg up on this compared to other folks because, in their program trading and their high frequency stuff, they do have like the talent that can look at fundamental algorithmic innovation as a way forward. So to the extent that they turn that talent here, I think it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
So
Graham,
for me,
anything to add?
yeah. So I did some brainstorming on this paper with my bots, and some interesting conversation happened. And the fundamental it was about, okay, what are the risks of this, right? The advantage is obviously there is an exponential reasoning and coming to the conclusions. And from the risk standpoint, what got highlighted is this algorithm or this proposal bypasses reasoning in human knowledge or in the human words. Instead, the algorithms are going to talk to each other, and there are going to be transparency issues because the language that they are going to use is not going to be human readable. It reminded me of one of the projects that Meta did, where they let two chatbots talk to each other, and quickly they figured out their own language, and they had to shut it down. So I was like, oh, this is a play on that, which is like a really interesting play, but just wanted to highlight that.
Thank you. Okay, we're going optional on this one. Adam, any thoughts here? Okay,
no, that's
optional.
fine.
Okay, great. All right, so this is our last article, and I think we have, Pankaj, if you could put in the scorecard. I think we had one essential, 2 importance, and the rest optional, correct? Yeah. All right, great discussion. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys, Ashish and Lucinda, and everyone participating in comments. Thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow.
One thing,
Before
I was at the bill signing ceremony here in Massachusetts yesterday with Governor Healy and Secretary Yvonne Howe, and just really want to congratulate that team. It's really impressive how they've gone from a press release in February to a signed bill that was $4 billion and included $100 million for AI, $1 billion for life sciences, $1 billion for clean tech, and they are way ahead of actually executing on governance bill versus Massachusetts, Connecticut, and many other things. And we've seen Canada just pass a $2 billion AI bill that had $240 million in for Cohere for their sovereign AI. So Canada is moving well, but Massachusetts is certainly carrying its weight. So kudos to all that, and a tremendous amount of excitement in that room on that signing here. So there's a lot of excitement going on here in New England and Boston in that area.
Yeah, and I just want to say that our dear friend Paul here was an invited guest, as the governor's office wanted to make sure he was there because he's such a vital part of the Massachusetts ecosystem. So well done, Paul.
Yeah, and Paul has many people are in the blueprint, AI blueprint for Massachusetts. It's a huge number. So thanks, Paul, for getting this team together. This is really nice. Thank you.
A lot of excitement. A lot of people want to help. A lot of people see this opportunity and want to contribute to their ecosystem. And lastly, we've now had Cincinnati and New Hampshire and 5 other geographic areas reach out to us to ask us how we're doing AI blueprint so they can implement it in their area.
Good job. All right, that concludes our stuff for today. Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.